Well, whether it's podcast or if you're a trainer, your ideal client, we call that the avatar. And an avatar is not the movie Avatar, but it's the ideal person that you're going after. And this is where most things break down. Most people think about, what's my message? Well, the message costs you money, doesn't make you money. Or they'll ask, what media should I use? Facebook Live? Should I use LinkedIn? No, that costs you money and time. Ask about the only thing that's going to make you money. Who? Who am I selling to? What are their aspirations? What are their affiliations? What attributes, make them up? What books do they read? If you showed me, you as you're watching right now, if you showed me the top 25 songs on your iPhone or Android that you enjoy and listen to all the time, I can tell you more about you than telling me how tall you are, what your ethnicity is, what your gender is, or where you're from. Jack's books behind him, when next time he comes on the screen, if I just look at those books and I know what they are because I've been there, I don't know, half a dozen times, I can tell more about Jack than, now, first of all, I'll say, hey, you got a lot of books. Which ones did you read? And he'll probably say all of them. But if I know which books they are, chances are 80 to 90% are nonfiction, because that's who Jack is. Now, if you get someone like a fiction writer, and I don't have to name names, they make more money than nonfiction writers because they sell more books, right? It's like Escape. Then I can tell you the type of fiction that person would write, what gets them interested. Let's say like John Steinbeck when he was living. He lived here in California. So with an avatar, what you want to do is name that person. So if maybe it's trainer Tammy and trainer Tommy. Tammy and Tommy. You have a male and female version. Or Coach CARLA, who is mine, and Coach Carl. I like alliteration, so that's why I use that. There's nearly 4,000 certified coaches who could be watching this. I hope that they will. And I know that if you're watching, not all of you, I know some really good salespeople within Jack's certification program because they're good friends of mine. Scott Schilling is one. But you're great at servicing, but you're not so good, and I'll say flat out bad, at selling. If you think you're great and you're not getting sales, then there's a blind spot there. So the ideal listener for my podcast is anyone who makes less than $250,000. Most make less than $100,000 US annually. They don't have any premium clients. What's a premium client? That's a high-end client that's worth maybe $10,000 or $25,000. I have $100,000 clients. Jack was my first 25K client. He doesn't even know it. So I'm glad that was like nearly 10 years ago. And the thing is, with most trainers, they know they have the cookie. They have the fulfillment approach. They have the coaching certification. They have the certificates. They have all that stuff. They have the cookie, but they sample it. They don't sell it. Now, Famous Amos on Wilshire Boulevard used to sample the cookie. Your former partner, Mark Victor Hansen, used to talk about that story. In fact, I was MC for him at one of the events you were at, and Famous Amos was actually there. He sampled them, but he brought them into the store. So that's seeding. But if you're doing free consultations and it's not turning into a sale, there's something that's wrong. And you can feed your family better. You can have nicer things. You can have more disposable income. You can have more learning. You can go to Jack's mastermind because the money won't be an issue if you learn how to seed instead of just sampling. And that's the big problem. So with your avatar, there's 3 fundamental elements to an avatar. And this is like a one-day course by itself. Just always first who, then what. Remember that. First, who do I sell to? Then what is my message? And then third is, how do I get it to them? So market, message, then media, not the other way around. When people say I have a great idea, I go, no, I don't want to hear that. Who are you going to get to? Then I'll hear the great idea. So 3 fundamental avatar elements. Our mutual friend Bobby DePorter taught me there's a fun in fundamentals. So here it is. They're all A's. What are your avatars or ideal listener, if it's a podcast, ideal client, if you're a service professional? What are their aspirations? What are their affiliations? What clubs do they belong to? Okay. What are their attributes? Like what makes them tick? Like what attribute about them do they have? Are they parents? Are they divorced? The toughest job in America is being a single mom with kids. That's an attribute. What's their affiliation? Well, they may be part of a mom's club. What's their aspiration? To be financially free. So these 3 A's are the elements that you could think about. And I hope you take that to heart. Aspirations, affiliations, attributes. I will give you an example of Coach Carla and what I've done and what I look at before I start writing any marketing communications. The second element, which is action card number 3, is what are the 3 counter avatar elements? This is kind of like the shadow. This is the opposite. You know, the elements I just showed you, you know, aspirations, attributes, affiliations, that's what you move toward. Here's what they want to move away from. Their fears. What are their fears? What are their frustrations? What are their foibles? They have these little quirks. What have they messed up? I am not a tech person. I'm like Jack. I'm not big on technology, right? You got to show me 100 times. I hate users manuals. You just have to show me. So we have a production manager running this. Otherwise, you know, I couldn't concentrate. So fears, frustrations, and foibles. And if you identify those, and you can do it in half an hour. Again, it takes half an hour to do, but maybe it takes about a year to master. Then I'll show you an example that we have. No opt-in is required. This is Coach Carla. It's an example of what a good avatar should look like. And this is what I teach my $100,000 clients. So this is free info for 100K, no 100K. You go to allsellingaside.com. Now I'm seeding All Selling Aside. You see that? I'm seeding it. It's there. Right? I'm shamelessly seeding it, but it's not being pushy. It's not trying to be tricky because I just told on myself. You can do the same thing, right? And so allsellingaside.com/avatar, you will get a PDF download of the avatar that I teach my Conversion Secrets clients. Nothing is for sale here that costs money, and there's no email opt-in. We're not going to hold you hostage, but if you go there, I'll show it to you one last time. You can type it in the chat, allsellingaside.com/avatar. You'll see a picture of Carla. Now, I went through 5-6 pictures. I surveyed my list. Jack, if you'll allow me, and we can talk to Russ and Lisa and Patty, you know, we can do this survey with your list and also with your Facebook fan page, because you got over, you're going to have 2 million fans, I think, within the next year. You got over 1 million now. But you really focus in on who this avatar is. And so when you have that picture, every time your marketing department writes copy, they write to that person. Anytime you write a tweet or you do a Facebook post, you're writing to that person, and they have a certain play language and they have a certain appeal. Some things are less interesting to them than others. Some things are more interesting to them than others. So the ideal listener for my podcast is Coach Carla. She doesn't make 100K a year. Most of them don't. She doesn't have any high-end clients. She hates to sell, and she's not good at technology. So with all of that, she could be married or divorced, but she's really good at what she does, and she is not exceeding her potential. In fact, she is withholding from the world her gift. Just like many trainers you have who are certified, they're withholding just because they're not good at a certain skill, or maybe they don't like doing it, so they offload it to somebody else, when they're really good seeders and really good storytellers. And if they just think of it a little differently, there's no one way to do it, but you have your own core stories, just like I started with a story here, then you can do it too. It is that easy. It's not get rich quick, but it's protecting your confidence.